Hola a todos, ¿cómo están? Qué gusto estar con ustedes aquí en esta quinta edición de la Canvas. Yo soy Nico Ruiz, soy periodista cultural y crítico de cine, y estoy aquí para hablar con dos directores y una directora que presentan trabajos en el Black Canvas, trabajos sumamente interesantes, y de los cuales queremos como ahondar un poco más. Para no alargarnos tanto en presentaciones, quería pasar a hablar como con cada uno de los directores y nada más presentarlos brevemente. Entonces, si quieren, podemos empezar de una vez con Maxime Martinot. Maxime, ¿cómo estás? Bienvenue, c'est un plaisir d'être avec vous.
Hola.
Hola.
Thank you, merci beaucoup.
So, sorry, present yourself, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm well. I live in Lisbon, and I don't know, I'm okay. I'm very proud to be in the program of Black Canvas, and yeah.
Lovely.
I don't know what to say.
No, lovely. Just introducing ourselves. So, and we have from Australia, Allison Chhorn. I'm really sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but thank you very much for being here.
Yes, thank you. And I'm very happy to be in Black Canvas again.
Lovely. And then we have Manuel Ferrari. Manuel, ¿cómo estás?
Hola, mucho gusto. I'm very happy to be here as well. I would love to be in Mexico, actually, but in some way or another, here I am. Here we are. Thank you. And nice to meet all the other guys and girls.
So to start this conversation, I would like to talk a little bit more about each of your films. So let's start in the same order of the presentation. So Maxime, Maxime is a director, an editor, and a visual artist. He has done several short films and the feature film Trois Contos de Borges, Tres Cuentos de Borges. And now he's presenting Les Antilopes, the antelopes, that starts with a quote by Marguerite Duras from Les Yeux Verts, from Green Eyes, about this coincidence of antelopes giving themselves to the sea, killing themselves spontaneously 150 years ago. But the film takes this as a pretext for a meditation about surveillance and rebellion, and it's really, really awesome. Can you talk about a little more about your creative process and how this film came to be?
Yeah, well, it's a bit strange because I was about to make this film, or I don't know if it will be a film when I read for the first time the text of Marguerite Duras. But I took the text and I imagined a film in my head. I don't know, but I just there is the trailer coming. I just put aside the project, and I put it, and I don't know how it happened, but I put it in another film, the text, just another version of the recording I made with the actress Morgane Long, and it was part of the previous film, Histoire de la Révolution, History of the Revolution, because it was a mashup of found footage, images, and a lot of text. But after that, during the first quarantine, I was in Lisbon where I live, but I saw a lot of images of the quarantine in France, and the images from the police that was shooting images of the empty streets in Paris with the drones. And the project I had in my head before came back, because it was I had selected some images of antilopes chased by cameras, by drones, and I don't know. There was a coincidence that was I don't know. It was clear to me that I had to come back to this project, just the text, to take just the text of Duras and make a film that is, for me, a short film, but also in France it has a name, but I don't know if in English there is a name. It's Cinetract. It was like in the 60s or the 50s, found footage films, or just films of, we can say, not propagandas, but yeah, like Santiago Alvarez films. For me, it's more a cinetrack than a film. It's smaller than a film, I want to say, because it was made during the quarantine with very quickly with a political issue, and it's the film that I made more quickly of all my films. Yeah.
Awesome. So now, Allison, Allison is an Australian-based director and an artist, and you presented The Plastic House in Vision du Réel a few years ago, I think. I saw the film. It's a wonderful film. It blew my mind. And now you present Blind Body, and it's a very intimate and interesting reflection or meditation on perspective and on aging and on belonging, roots, and I don't know, the body itself presented before a camera. Can you talk about a little more about this project?
Yeah. Well, it started when in 2018 I was living with my grandma, and she was partially blind, so she could only see kind of blurred shapes and just contrast like light. And also I couldn't speak with her properly. I couldn't speak the same language with her, so we didn't have a lot of communication. And so that kind of led me to a more observational way of approaching the film, and also thinking about and imagining how she would experience the world through kind of these blurred shapes, and kind of feeling her way in the world through sound and touch as well.
Yeah, awesome. Y bueno, al final we have Manuel Ferrari, from Argentina. He made cómo estar muerto de la noche a la mañana, and now he presents las Credenciales, very interesting film about the idea of coincidence in journey, and the idea of credentials, the idea of how do we represent ourselves through a paper with our name and our photograph, and what does it say about reality and, I don't know, fiction. It's a really interesting work. Can you talk about the idea behind it and the process of making it?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the film started with an anecdote I heard from a local producer when he told me that the main character of the film they were going to present to a huge festival. I don't want to give many details, but then it was a known actor, and they couldn't travel all together from Argentina to Europe. And then they sent him alone in a plane. This guy had never been on a plane, had never been anywhere else beside his own land, because he was not from a main city, a young boy. And then they sent him with a paper written like, if something goes wrong, this is his name, he should go to this place, like a sort of dog, we could say, like a little badge. And then he traveled to Europe, doing a little stop. I believe it was in the Netherlands, I don't remember. Then he went to a huge festival, Taipei Festival, and then they present the film there. So after that anecdote, I started thinking about his own life, his own trip there. Like it reminded me a little bit of the Universal Expositions in Paris in the beginning of the 20th century, where they send indigenous people from here to show them, like a little bit in jail and, well, you know, modernity. And I also wanted to not make a sort of statement political film, but also try to mix it up with comedy in some way or another. So using these masks that we use, especially when you're an actor. So this guy is going to travel. He looks not only local from Argentina, but he also looks quite suspicious for European borders because he has a long beard, so he could be confused also like a sort of, I don't know, I don't want to give adjective, you know, like probably a guy who shouldn't be there, let's say like that. And so that's why he gets stopped in the borders and all stuff like that. So the question is, I try to create this sort of trip from a guy which is a local actor, but you don't really know that if you're the audience until a certain moment that he's traveling to present a film in a festival, and then he meets someone else, which is sort of a mirror from him, but in Berlinale, right? Sort of like that.
Awesome. So in the three films now, you said, Manuel, about this political idea about prejudice and stuff. You're not making per se a political film, but in every one of your films, there's something political behind. Maybe in Maxime, it's a more evident idea about surveillance and maybe the rebellion of the antelopes and of human beings, maybe. But this idea of borders and stereotypes, even in Allison's films, the idea of roots and cultural distances and linguistical distances. So do you think that, I don't know, film can capture reality as it is, or maybe we cannot see it with that innocence and we're always making a political commentary? The question is, do you think that we must comment on reality, and does cinema has to say something about reality in a political way? Whichever of you wants to go first, don't worry.
That's a huge question.
I'm trying to be super general because there are three really different works, but we can go from there.
I'm sure it is absolutely necessary. Even if you don't want to make a political film, it's going to be political because you are at some point saying something to somebody that you probably don't know who you are speaking to. So actually, that is already political. But then I don't personally like doing films having a theme in advance. Like I want to do a film against violence, let's say. I think it's a torture to make that film because I feel I'm doing propaganda. But still, I have the feeling that all my films are connected to this sort of... Yeah, I found super interesting both of the two films because I think they came out of a question or something like that. But I don't know. That's my opinion.
What do you think, Maxime?
No, it's strange because I wanted to say that every time we film reality or fiction, I don't mind. We film, even we film fiction, it's a statement about a certain reality. Even if you make a fiction, you are filming things of today, issues of today. But in my film, I just stole images. I didn't make images, and it tells about it's a legend of Marguerite Duras. I don't know if it's real. I think it's a how do you say, a conte? It's a tale.
Story.
It's a story, or not. We don't know the story of antilopes. But yeah, each film is a point of view of that comes from somewhere, and if you have a point of view, you have in some way a political. You can enter in it in a political way. I don't know if everyone are making political films. If it depends on the spectator you are. I don't know.
What do you think, Allison?
Yeah, I agree with Manuel and Maxime. I think everyone has a point of view and their own perspective, and like even subconsciously they would bring their own past and memories and artistic, decisions into filmmaking. And I think you would inevitably see the filmmaker's point of view in their films.
The other thing, and I know these are very general questions, and maybe there's a problem with that, but I don't know what else to ask for the three of you as an ensemble. But the other idea I was thinking about was the idea of perspective. I don't know, in these three films, there's a role of the idea of I don't know, the automatization of perspective. I mean, the idea that through film we can look at ordinary things, or things that we think are ordinary, in a different perspective, and in that way, I don't know, make poetry about banality or about anything. I don't know. And the idea of filming a trip and the coincidences, and I don't know, the film of Manuel tells the story of a man who goes to a festival, but we only see the traveling, the in-betweens, not the part of the glamour of the festival and stuff. Then in Maxime film, we see this idea of drones, a very depersonalized, systematic way of filming, but there's somebody behind it. And when you see this last rebellion of the antelope who strikes a drone, there's something very interesting about the relationship with vigilance and drones by state and police, and the buying of drones in France in particular. So there's a change in perspective. And with Allison, it's quite evident, the idea of the blurring image and how we can, I don't know, translate the idea of partial blindness through cinema. So I wanted to talk about this, about the idea that cinema can make us change a perception of the world, and maybe de-automize things that we think are common or banal in our daily lives. I don't know if someone wants to talk about it. Manuel, maybe?
Well, in this particular case, my film has to do exactly with that. I mean, for me, it was the main reason why I wanted to create this film, and that's why I chose that they were actors that were representing somebody else in some way or another. This guy is also representing himself, because he looks like the type of guy who lives in the countryside in Argentina, who might be, but he's not at all like that. He just seems to look like that. So he's a very urban guy who lives in a very sort of, I would say, cosmopolitan way of living. But then the way he looks seems suspicious, or for any sort of perspective. That for me, it's obviously related to power, and from the perspective I have from a South American guy who travels and always has some sort of issue to enter different countries, needs visas, and comparing to others who don't really need that. And it doesn't matter how do they look like normally. After you show your passport, it doesn't really care anymore in those moments in the airports. Then when you live there, it's not the same how you look, even in the most powerful countries. But I would say that's what I wanted to create. That's why I keep it like the point of view of my short. It's like keeping that suspicious vision like in the audience, like putting the audience in the place where they have to be thinking, who is this guy? What is he going to do? He's going to put a bomb on a plane. He's going to go to Europe to find work and live illegally. But then none of this is like that. So I wanted to recreate this, these feelings that we have, and I also have to different other people. I think it's a universal issue. It's not that I am the good guy and the rest of the people is the bad guy. So it's a question of racism, basically.
Yeah, and there's even a scene where you play with this perspective with the audience itself. No, your character is going to the door of the airplane. So as a spectator, you're seeing that, and you're thinking about things that you don't want to think because you don't want to do this stereotypes, but they come to you, and it's horrible.
Yeah, it is. It is. You see a guy with long beard in a plane in somewhere which is not his seat, and you think he's going to do something bad.
And he takes a selfie. No, this is a very rebellious act of innocence. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what do you think, Allison, about this idea of perspective, and maybe cinema the way it can change our perspective, and maybe in your sense, in a very empathetic and intimate way?
Yeah, I think cinema has that is power to bring the audience to, experience someone else's perspective very viscerally and very, through vision and sound, but also they say, cinema is like dreams, and that's, I think, it's imagining someone else's world, and that's what I tried to do with my film. And yeah, specifically with my grandma and how she sees the world without clear vision, and how she also imagines herself, because she can't obviously she can't see herself, but she can feel her presence and how she moves around the house and around the world.
Yeah, I was thinking when I was seeing your movie about, I don't know, the films, the early documentary films of Kawase when she's filming her grandmother, and this process of I don't know, reliving the life of her grandmother / mother and the abandonment of her father and stuff. But sometimes she uses the camera in a really, I don't know, like abstract way, but she's telling a lot. There's kind of a feeling that can be sensed through her perspective that is mostly, I don't know, emotional. Not she's not representing really a reality, but an emotional I don't know, landscape. Did you feel something like this?
Yeah, I think Naomi Kawase, her early films, definitely has a similar way of kind of evoking those emotions, and it's both tactile and also emotional.
Yeah, exactly. And Maxime, what did you think about this perspective? And it's interesting because you didn't shoot anything. You found like lost perspectives in the world and made your own perspective with them, and with other voices of intertextual meaning with Duras and Les Yeux Verts.
Yeah, well, it's found footage films is not. It's an old genre of movie. We make found footage films since I don't know decades, but what was interesting for me is the fact that I don't like drawn images. The imagery of drones is imagery of war, of hunting. So I don't want that the spectator like the images, but at the same time, I don't want it to be very like criticize directly the images. I don't think it's. It was not my purpose. But the fact to link this with the story of at the same time like a near death of a species like antilopes, and at the same time a kind of struggle was the way to have this in kind of irrational point, criticizing point of view. It was not direct. I don't know if it's very clear. Even in French, I would have some difficulties to express this. But yeah, the editing is made to change the perspective of the imagery of drones. We see that we already know not very well, because drones are used in most films now, but it's not. It's like included in the
language,
sections, or I don't know. But the exception is in the army. The drones, the images of drones are like very, since a long time now, very integrated of the imaginary of the war, but in the imaginary, the unconscious of I don't know, spectators all around the world, drones are not already very integrated. I think that there is maybe a change now with when I saw these images of the police. You can find them on the internet, that the French police of Paris filmed the Champs-Élysées and with drones completely empty, and with classical music, and it's like very strange and very
ominous.
Yeah, it's like a horror movie, but from the police perspective, it was like, oh, okay, look how the streets are beautiful without people, and filmed by a drone.
Yeah,
so, there was like a mythical and point of view from Marguerite Duras, and a very located and very from the present point of view by the images of the police or the drones chasing antelopes.
And I do think it makes sense. There's a point in the text by Marguerite Duras that she says, "Certains seulement," only a few ones of the antelopes went to the sea to kill themselves. There's like this life impulse, but this death impulse that I don't know. I think it relates very well to this idea of the militarization of drones and images or war or everything. Like, and I don't know. I found it very interesting. And continuing with this idea of I don't know, found footage and taking images from the internet and the police and stuff like that. I wanted to ask the three of you this another very general question and a horrible one by that. The idea of if cinema captures reality or is in reality fabricating a reality. And this is interesting in the idea that there's a very artifact way in which the perspective in your three films are filmed. It is obvious that the perspective of the camera in the film by Allison is the camera isn't blind. It's made partially blind. And in your recollection of images, you are taking images from everywhere. And with Manuel, there's a questioning between the idea of, I don't know, the casting, filming the casting of an actor and filming an actor doing its job, or filming an idea of a representation of reality. So this is the very ample and horrible question. Does cinema capture reality, or does it make a new reality? I don't know who wants to start. Maybe Manuel?
I believe it was Godard who said something like, I think cinema makes the invisible visible, and not necessarily because you can see it. It's because you can see the backside of the issues that we are facing all the time, not really concerned about the power of the infinite sort of sounds, images, and whatever we are being exposed to. And the fact that we are able to wait a little bit and see those images one more time because someone else is looking at them, trying to take something away from them or showing a new perspective, is because you can see what's going on with those images, where they are coming from. Even when they are shot by someone else, you don't really need to create them. But the question is to be able to see something that was not necessarily intended to be there, and mostly to think about something which is not necessarily in the screen or in the sound. It's something that it's in your head, in your body, whatever. I don't know. But that's for me unique, and that's why I keep on doing this, because I cannot even show my films in a film theater. So I don't really know if I'm doing cinema or what is it, but I don't really care. Still, I want to do this, and I want to keep on watching films or audiovisual things, whatever they are, bureaucratically speaking, let's say.
Allison, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I think I think it's definitely the way that artists and filmmakers, make film, like the way that we make creative decisions that turns reality into something fabricated or something imagined, or because like a camera by itself can capture reality through technology, but it's more of like I feel like the decisions of the artist that will create something new.
Yeah. And Maxime, qu'est-ce que t'en penses?
Well, I don't know, because the concept of reality for me, it's a bit strange, especially when we talk about art, because if I don't know, cinema or art in general, if there is reality on the screen, it could be captured by 1,000 ways, different ways. And if there is 1,000 different ways to capture what we call reality, is it reality or not? But what is interesting is that we can each film create his own like you say, artifact. For me, the art is I don't know, it's like a lens. A person, the artist, shows to the spectator a lens that he created to see one thing in particular, or maybe it can be abstract, not an abstract thing, but yeah. And I don't know if the concept of reality is still
available.
Yeah, it's still, but for me, there is in some fiction films there are more reality than in some documentaries that I found very false. So I don't know. For me, the films that I like the most are not separated on if we can see more reality or not. It's more like the experience of film. The generosity of the experience is more important to me. The fact that we can feel what happened during the shooting, or I don't know, this kind of thing. It moves me. And I feel for me it's reality. It's reality of the film. So it's I don't know if that's quite.
No, completely. There's a reality in the experience itself and the transmission. Yeah, of course. I love that answer. So for my last question, for a last of a series of dumb questions, now I'm going to do the stupidest question of all, because this is really, really general. And I hate doing this question, but I always do it at the end of interviews, and because the answers are very interesting in their own way. So bear with me, and I'm so sorry, but do you think that cinema can change the world? Allison, maybe?
I don't know. I feel like it can change our perspective and our understanding, but I don't know in terms of concrete change. Yeah.
Maxime?
The question for me is quite bad, because I don't want that the cinema has to have this purpose. I prefer to inverse. I prefer that the world, we or everyone, change the cinema and the world at the same time. But to say that an art which is not important, I think for me it's important. Cinema is very important, but in the all the day lives, cinema is not that important. It's part of the fact that this thing can change the world. I think it's very pretentious.
Yeah, of course.
But I would like, maybe, but I don't think so.
Awesome. ¿Qué piensas, Manuel?
Well, I probably am a little bit more innocent or optimistic, but I have the feeling that it could. I mean, there are several films that after I watched them, my life changed a little bit. I mean, so I had that feeling that probably not the films I make would change someone else's life, but probably the films I saw as an audience did actually change my life, my perspective. And if I shouldn't, my verbs are not particularly great, but if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have seen something different from a different country, or even from my own country, my own tradition, whatever. So I think in some way or another it does. I prefer to think like that.
If I may, the question was if we can change the world, not a life. I agree that cinema can change your life. It changed mine too. But
I have the feeling that it could happen to someone else. So in some way or another, it could. I think the word is the people, not the concrete world. But that's a really good discussion. What is the world? We could go more general until the universe. But yeah, of course, it's not that I am the world.
Yeah, that's a problem with the question, and that's why it's interesting. It's because it's really bad, and then, so everybody thinks of it in a different way. I've seen people being very political with that and saying, yeah, with cinema we're changing the world, and another perspective like Maxime And that's really pretentious. And yeah, it's true. And all of those answers are true. And what is the world if not people? But this concrete idea of the world is also something else. I don't know. That's the idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to give up, and I don't want to have the feeling that someone else is changing the world and it's not art. I believe in some way it could be like that we lost the battle, if there is a battle, but I don't want to, think that way. Anyway.
So I think we're really out of time now, and so I'm just gonna say thank you to the three of you. Thank you very much, and especially Allison's presentation. I know it's really late there, and thank you very much. It was lovely talking to you. It was lovely seeing your films, and now I'm just gonna say goodbye in Spanish for everybody here in Mexico. Entonces, bueno, esta fue la discusión. Ustedes pueden ver la película Las Credenciales de Manuel Ferrari, pueden ver Blind Body de Allison Chhorn y pueden ver Les Antilopes de Maxime en el Black Canvas, en la programación de Black Canvas, en el ¿cómo se llama? En Filming Latino. Y bueno, pueden ver estas y muchos otros cortometrajes, mediometrajes, largometrajes, muchísimas películas. Creo que nada más te dije Maxime Martinot, Les Antilopes. Pero bueno, pueden ver todas estas películas en Filming Latino. Disfruten mucho de esta quinta edición del Black Canvas. Llénense de cine, discutan con nosotros sobre estas películas. Y bueno, nada más les dejo tantito a los tres directores que tenemos aquí para que se despidan. Son last words.
Chao, muchas gracias, un placer.
Gracias.
Thank you.